One of the most important decisions you can make in FPV is what is the right radio for you. In today's video, we've put over 100 packs through this radio right here. This is the Jumper T20, and I think if you're into radios, there's some things about this that might surprise you. G'day, you absolute legends. Stu here from UAVfutures, and I know what you're thinking. Number one, Stuart, where did you get that baller shirt? And number two, didn't the Jumper T20 come out like over a month ago? Well, boys and girls, yes, you are correct. The shirt absolutely is baller. But number two, it did come out a little while ago. However, I've put over 100 packs through this thing with my friends to give you the right information. I've really put it through its paces. So in today's video, we're going to break it down. We're going to look at the text and the specs. We're going to be comparing it to a lot of radios. We've got some old school full-size radios right here, some gamepad style ones. And the aim of this video is to give you, the viewer, the right information if you're going to be spending your hard-earned cash on experiencing FPV. Now, as a bit of an overview of what this is the T20. There's a couple of different versions. We've been flying this thing for over a month. Like I said, over 100 packs. You'll see Old Man Raven flying this thing around. It has Express LRS built in, as well as like a multi-protocol radio. It's rocking Edge TX, and there's some very special things that this radio is actually doing. Now, the first thing I want to mention is basically the size of this thing. It is unlike anything we really have. So we've got these tiny little pocket style radios. You might have seen some of them. If you haven't seen this awesome review, go check this one out. We've got full size radios like the Radio Master TX16S or whatever. And you've got your gamepad style one, but there is none quite like this. Now this radio, it just fits. That's the part I love about it. I'm a thumbing pilot, so I fly with my thumbs on the stick. You're also going to see Old Man Raven flying around. He is a pincher, and it was quite surprising that we could both recommend how this radio felt in the field. It just has such a natural ergonomic fit. Just quickly go through the switches. I'll put some pictures on the screen or something like that. Ton of channels, more than any drone pilot's ever going to need. This also has enough potentiometers and pots and switches and position switches and that sort of stuff. If you are into fixed wing, it's basically like a full-size radio in a miniature form factor. I have the version with the upgraded gimbals, and they are absolutely gorgeous. We've got some 3-position switches, 2-position switches. You've got your trims right here. This is a set of programmable batteries, programmable buttons. Because it's rocking Edge TX, you can set this thing up to basically do anything you want. A big point, I don't want to spend too much on this, it's got a little scroll wheel. If you've seen radios, they're all very similar in terms of this interface. However, these buttons right here, you can break them into 2 groups, whether that be one group of 6 buttons or 2 groups of 3 buttons. Well, it doesn't mean much for us drone pilots, but if you are into fixed wing or something, that might make a difference. Of course, flipping it over, I've got mine running on just a 2S. I've got some 18650s, but it does come with a bigger battery holder, which I think I'll put that picture on the screen as well. I just didn't have any of those batteries to use, so that is a massive plus. You're going to be getting tons and tons and tons of battery life. And another exciting feature about this radio, they do have a crossfire mod that they have promised to be coming, where you can internally mod this thing so you can also link up to crossfire. So it's kind of be like one radio to rule them all. You've got a couple of different potentiometers on the back, some almost like latch switches right here, although they don't feel the greatest. But for me, I just need an arm switch, maybe a buzzer switch and a flip after crash switch, and I'm off to the races. The real exciting part really is how it fits in the hands. You've got your little lanyard latch right there, and on my version you can move the antenna around to all your different sort of styles. Now, a big part of this radio as well, you will see a lot of them, they have an internal SD card. All these radios rock an internal SD card. It's basically how Edge TX runs and works and stores all its data. This radio right here has some internal memory, so you don't need to worry about an SD card, and I think that's kind of cool. That's very exciting. It might make it a little bit tricky to copy model from one radio to another, but if you're just like me and you set everything up to one model anyway, that's probably not going to bother you, and you don't have to worry about an SD card, which is a bit of a plus. Like I mentioned, some full-size gimbals in here. They are absolutely gorgeous. We're going to open it up and take a look at the quality control in just a minute. But for 150 bucks, depending on which version that you're going to get, please check the links down below. I got to say, I really like this radio. Now it can go up to 1 watt as well, and a big part as well, I really need to mention this part. I'm gonna put some other pictures on the screen, so I know Bruce from RC Model Reviews, he does some stellar videos. He had some issues with him. His speaker cable wasn't even soldered on. So we are going to be opening this up, but what I wanna do first, let's go out to the field, fly it around. I'll show you our impressions after about 100 batteries, and we'll see what I think about this radio on some of my flights, because that's really important. What's it like when you're actually flying this thing? We'll find out from a pincher's perspective as well. We'll see what old man Raven thinks. And then the important part, we're gonna come back to the bench. We're going to break it down. We're gonna have a look at the internals, and then we can make up our mind to find out, is this gonna become my daily driver? Is it gonna be the radio that sort of does it all, and that most importantly, I would take out every time I'm gonna go flying? Radio, here we are out in the field. I got old man Raven in the background. It's time to check out the Jumper T20. Bit of a spoiler, we've had this thing for a little while. We've really put it through its paces, but today you'll get our summed up impressions, what it feels like from somebody who is predominantly flies with their thumbs. We've got a pincher over there as well, so we'll see what it's like and find out, is it the radio for you? Compare it to the Pocket and see which one you should get. All right, let's do it. All right, before we take off, we're flying around with a little drone from iFlight. I've put on an OSD, so hopefully should get some information on there. However, I want to say, I really like this radio in the hands. We've been flying around with it for a while, and it does fit very nicely. Every time I picked it up, it just feels like a natural ergonomic position, which is really important if you're going to get a new radio. You want something that feels good, and for me as someone who thumbs, it kind of feels great. So let's do it. Let's see how it goes, see how it holds the link, what the range is like, if there's any issues, that sort of stuff. So, all right, we've got telemetry. That's always a bonus.
That's always good.
It is stinking hot here today as well.
Lots of Aussies too. It's
yes.
hot in Aussies, so.
We are armed and we are away. So wonderful pilot here. My OSD says not Stu, so there we go. It is not me. My link quality doesn't seem to be moving whatsoever. It seems rock solid. Let's see how far we can go out here. Probably as far as I would want to go, to be honest. I don't want to upset the farmer too much. Oh, I did get it to 96 on that turn for one split second.
And this is a Cyclone RX, so it's got an LNA and a PA.
Okay.
But it's not diversity. It's you know, just a standard.
Like a 12 buck receiver.
It's one of the cheapest ones you can get.
Yeah, in here. Oh, I don't want to upset those ducks too much. But all right, talking about the rate, like the link quality is great. It's Express LRS. That's basically the gold standard now. It feels very good to fly around with. I'm not feeling very much latency or anything like that, although I am not a racing pilot, but it just still feels fantastic on the sticks. The radio in the hands, I think, is where it really shines. It just feels, like I said at the start, naturally ergonomically fitting. Like it just feels it's a very comfortable radio, whether you are going to be doing pinching or for me for thumbing. I actually really like it. Now, you're not going to be putting it in your pocket as much as the Pocket radio. I've got a mozzie on my finger right there. Always makes it a bit tricky to be flying around, but look, I really like this radio. Value for money wise, I think it's kind of what I would be happy to pay with. Whether you get the base version or the upgraded version, I wouldn't really have any qualms spending that. This is a radio that I feel like you could be happy to buy once and then stay in the hobby. You wouldn't need to upgrade or anything like that. Now, would I get it over the Pocket? And I should unplug my drone. So with that all said and done, would I pick this over the Pocket? They have some big pros and cons. I like the feel more of this one, but I like the convenience of this one. I think this one's going to be more robust. You're not going to break off any switches or anything like that. I am probably going to remove a lot of these switches. I'm not going to be using many of these. If I was into fixed wing, this would probably be the one that I was choosing. It's just, it's a very close call. I'll tell you that much. So anyway, what we should do, we'll hand it over to Raven and see which one he likes. So let's give him a flight.
Like, because there's a pincher, you want it somewhere comfortable.
Okay, yeah, you don't like my arm switch, do you? Where it is?
I hate it on that side.
Okay, all right, let's do it. Are you left-handed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well then that kind of makes sense. Off you go. You're off to the races. Now you can enjoy my wonderful 5-inch that I've built out there.
Yeah.
But I do want to focus mostly on the radio that you are cruising around
Good,
with.
because this drone flies like shit.
Piss off, this flies great. I love this drone. All right. Anyway, let's focus on the drone. So how does it feel in the hands?
I like it. So the T20 has got that I didn't want to like it, I'll be honest, because Jumper QC is terrible, but it does have that really good feel, and it's basically like the Boxer, but smaller. So how is that bad? And because everyone's always talking about wanting a better radio for traveling with.
Yes.
And if you can have the full-size gimbals and not have to give up too much in terms of space, yeah.
Would you use all the switches and dials and everything on here? Or?
Oh, definitely not. But
Okay.
in saying that, if I ever got into fixed wing, at least you'd have that option.
Yes.
Like, you've got wings, and you know that if you ever did go wing flying, this would probably be the one you'd choose.
Yeah, I would choose that if, yeah.
What are you going to get out, like the X9D or you know, and
nothing.
No,
Yeah, okay, yeah. If I was going to fly fixed wing, I would be buying this, yes.
And yeah, I mean,
What do you think about for the price?
price is really good. So 110 for the standard version, so just, you know, basic gimbals. I think it's 150, 140 for the normal one.
Oh man, you're cruising through here.
Yeah.
Can you see clearly?
Yeah, DJI, brother.
All right. We've converted him to digital, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it just, and I'm not having to think about it too much. So again, like I said, I like to be comfortable when I'm on the radio as a pincher. I haven't felt like, oh, this switches in my way too much.
Feel natural?
Yeah, it feels good. Like I'm not pushing. I'm just doing my default split S's and stuff, but it feels really good. And I'm not worrying about the range, obviously, with the ELRS. But we could probably go over to this tree here. That'd be just fine, you know. Maybe don't want to go too low there, but
I don't even know where you are. You're somewhere way out there. But anyway,
yeah.
continue. All right. Who would you recommend this for?
Look, anyone from newbies to people who've been in the hobby like me for 6-7 years. It's got everything. It's good form factor, good price. It's ELRS too. They haven't buggered around and gone with an FR Sky version or a Crossfire version or whatever. They just, look, at least Jumpers listened in that regard. We've got an ELRS radio they've committed.
Yes.
And you can go, I think is there 900 as well,
Yeah.
900 or 2.4. So especially for wing pilots, I think 2.4 is going to be that, 900 is going to be the one they want. So yeah, amazing.
Right. I'm going to get you to bring it in once you finish flying, and then I'll get your final thoughts. What's your battery voltage
I'm
at?
on 22 volts.
It's let's say 3.5 times 6 is what, 21?
I think we did this last time, mate. It was bad.
All right.
Oh, just fly it to the battery.
Yeah, no, don't do that. I like those
bring it in,
batteries.
I'll
All right, bring it in, and then
All right.
I want to see you landing.
Yeah.
Come on, I want to see a nice smooth. Oh, do I have to hit your disarm switch because you don't know what we're doing?
I'll do it.
Okay, let's see. How good can you remember? It's this one here.
Well, my finger's underneath at the moment.
Yeah, that one. I'm standing behind you.
That's fine.
You just cartwheeled that
Yeah.
into the ground.
I just bloody dumped it. So
All right, I'll go unplug it and
All right.
then come back.
No worries.
So after flying around
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks, you like it?
I like it, and like I'm really fussy. So again, the shoulder switches as a pincher, as a thumber, it doesn't. You guys don't. I don't think you care, eh? You just grip the radio.
Yeah,
and
that
chuck
doesn't.
your
Nothing
thumbs
gets
on.
in my way.
Pinchers, we're really fussy people, and usually it's the shoulder is the biggest issue.
Okay.
I'm not 100% happy with this placement, but after flying that pack, it's all right. I think you get used to the placement.
Okay.
And I know there are people that are already working on latching switches. People are modding the absolute ever-loving crap out of this radio.
Okay.
So I think that's awesome. And maybe if the only thing holding you back from buying this is Jumpers QC, just open it up, make sure it's okay.
Yeah, so we're going to do that on the bench.
Yeah,
so once
I
we get
think,
home on
look,
the bench review, you'll find out how well it's gone.
Yeah, and if you can trust it then, if you can open it up, make sure it's all good, then you can add your little, bells and whistles onto it. It'll be a really, really good radio. And AGO1 is possible, it's been done. So, yeah.
Okay, all right. And the big one, I guess you see a lot of people comparing these two.
Yeah, see, I'm not a big fan of that comparison. To me, they're completely different. This
Yeah.
is literally a radio that was built to be able to chuck around, to give to your friends, family, maybe chuck in a bag. The T20 is still a complicated full-size radio that has things that can get broken on it. Like, it does have these switches here. You can't just technically chuck it in a bag.
Yep.
Even though it has the form factor that we might like, you'd still have to protect it, and the gimbals don't screw off. So, to me, they're completely different. They're different.
Different audiences, all right. If you could only fly one, which one would you fly?
It would be the T20.
Okay.
But just because it's high milliwatt for the ELRS, and it's a full-size gimbal
I
option.
think it's a better form factor too.
But again, it's
Sorry, I mean for ergonomics, for holding.
for holding.
For
definitely.
holding it,
yeah,
this feels
100%.
better than that. But also, this is like $70 or $60 versus
$110 or to $150.
This is the T20S, so the Pro version with the nicer gimbal, and that's about 140. So it's almost, you're looking at just over double. And again, small gimbals, like you can get 8 full-size AGO one in here, so they're different. It's apples and oranges.
All right.
They're sort of kind of the same size, but that's where it ends for me.
Okay.
But they're both great radios. So.
Yes. What is your Raven score for this out of 100?
Look, if you open it up and it's mint, it's perfect. 86. 86. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. 86 out of 100.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
My brain wants to go 8.6 every time.
Okay,
but
no,
86.
Okay, right. 86 for that.
Yep.
If we get it home, open it up, and there's no faulty, dodgy wiring.
And there's no
like
issues. And look, I had a jumper radio for 4 years. I had the original T16 Pro, so the one before Radio Master even, and it lasted me for 4 years. So jumper's got QC issues, but it doesn't mean every radio is going to be like that.
Yes. And you haven't personally experienced that. But
I-
we'll see what happens when we open this up.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Thanks, old man.
Right, thank you very much. We've taken about 600 screws, or I guess that's what it felt like, and I've unclipped one little wire here so I can open this up like a book and give you my impressions on the build quality of this bad boy right here. Now, some of the things I do want to mention, Jumper in the past, they've had some issues with their quality control. They use some bad cables. It looks like they're getting a little bit better. However, some of these wires do feel, I guess, a little bit plasticky, not as soft and malleable as some nice silicone wires out there. It is nice to see that they're not using some ribbon cables like they used to in the past. There is this little part where your connector lies. It doesn't, I would love a little bit of epoxy on there. So that's probably one of the main weaknesses of a radio. It's probably not going to come off, but if you dropped it, that little bit of epoxy or something like that is going to hold it in place. So if you're playing along at home and you've got one of these, do yourself a favor, just put a little bit of extra glue on there. I know Bruce from RC Model Reviews, he had some issues with him, so his speaker wire, it was totally not working. He had to do some mods and stuff like that. He only had a review sample size of 1, and good on him for calling him out and saying, hey, look, this is what I've got. I haven't had any issues with mine, but he also brought up a really good point, which I strongly agree with. If you're going to get this, Jumper in the past, because of their quality control issues, don't buy it from China. I would say buy it from a reputable local dealer. So if you're in the US, somewhere like Race Day Quads, where you can hit them up and say, hey, look, I bought this radio just the other day. It's not working. Can we figure something out? There was a quality control issues. And a company like that, I'm happy to vouch for them. I'm not sponsored in any way for them, but I've had some great experiences with Race Day Quads, and I'm sure others in the comments can experience and put their experiences down as well. Tyler, he's a top-notch dude. So get it from, what I'm saying is, get it from a store that you trust that has a great refund policy. You don't want to get this thing, wait a couple of weeks from China, and then have to ship it back because something's gone wrong. Now, of course, nothing's gone wrong with mine. Is it the perfect build quality? I'm going to say no, it's not. Look, it's not outstanding. There are some little extras they probably could do, which wouldn't cost them much more and would make the radio a little bit nicer. Probably using a little bit higher quality wire. In here, some of these feel a little bit plasticky, not like that nice malleable silicone wire, which some of us are used to. But look, overall, I do like the radio, but it is Jumper. Be warned, they have had quality control issues in the past. And here's a little tip. If you're ever going to take something apart, especially in electronics where you're unplugging things or desoldering things, take a photo before you do it so you know how to put it back together. That one's going out to you, Joshy B. Anyway, so let's plug this back together, put about 10 million screws in, wrap up the review, and then talk about why this might be my daily driver, who it's for, and also who it's not for, because that's really important as well. It's your money. You got to make the right decision. So the radio's back together, and then this brings us on to the big question. Do I recommend this radio? Is it going to be my daily driver? And do I think that it's worth it? Now, I've got to say, for me, it kind of is a yes. I can only review this based on the sample that I have. I haven't had any issues with mine. And the number one thing I really like about this radio, but even though like it's a full-size radio, it could be great for fixed wing or blah, 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 whatever you're into. For me, it comes down to, look, it hasn't broken, but also, which is a bit of a bonus, also, it flies really well and it feels great in the hands. The ergonomics in here, it feels solid but not too heavy. It just feels great in the hands, and that I can't overstress that enough Doesn't matter how good your radio is, if it feels uncomfortable to fly, well then it's not going to be an enjoyable experience. So overall for me, I've got to say, I really like it. I like the price point. I think it's worth it. However, do please buy from somewhere where, like Race Day Quads or your local, if you've got a local store around the corner you can get a refund from, go and see them out, because you don't want to have any problems. I haven't had any problems with mine, but I know some other people have. So you want to make sure you can get those refunds. Now, big shout out to Raven. And if you're still here watching this and you appreciate taking the time, these videos do take a while to make, and it is harder on the channel if I don't release these videos straight away, but I thought it was important to put over 100 packs through here to give you the right information to make the right decision. So if today's the day when you think, you know what, thanks for doing that, Stu, I'm going to support you on Patreon. The link's going to be down below. I will love you forever, and it really does help the channel. Other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content. We've got some very exciting stuff coming up soon, and as always, happy flying.